Wake up, goddammit. Welcome to MARKETcast with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
It was great. AVGO, just out of the gate, stayed on it. Probably should have just traded that one the whole week, and that's it. But I found some other stuff, and yeah, I mean, overall, just proof of concept kind of week. Um, the stuff we stay on, things line up. So yeah, it was really solid, really good.
Yeah, another decent week for me. I'm towards the end of the year for me, so I'm not like oversizing anything, but it's hard not to trade when that setup is just looking at you in the face. Little Fubo for me,
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
Fubo for me. Little the Bitcoin plays were really good. To be honest, those charts are kind of easy. But yeah, not I just didn't overtrade last week too much. Um, I didn't like trade around the JP, right? But I was in enough things um, that I got a good enough move out of a lot of it. So um, not really didn't really FOMO there, so that was good. But I was kind of surprised the volume stayed in, and just the continuation on a lot of charts. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that here.
Something I said last week that ended up being true is that puts are hard. I think they're always difficult in some ways, but especially right now, the pullbacks you get, the chances for puts, they're like 15-minute trades at best. It rips right back higher, from where it was, and it just fits what I was talking about with. I think people get in a kind of disbelief that we could go higher, so they feel like they're late to add anything, and then they keep trying to short the market, and that doesn't work either. But I think that's where a broader sector focus helps because there are sectors that are still down, are still oversold, that are looking starting to look better. Banks and staples and you know things like that. So I think it's the tech centric focus that hurts a lot of people. And I say that even though 80-90% of my trades, if you count crypto, have been tech lately, just because that's what's been there. But it's still important to keep your eyes elsewhere, and oil, and all that. You just need a broad skill set. That's what helps you as a trader, and that's what I think we're all about.
No, first of all, you got to grow a little bit. This is going to be 2024 here in a week, so we got to level up. Tech is a fragmented sector, so software as a service is what you've been trading, sir. Maybe cloud storage,
Yeah, no, that's true.
different
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of tech, and
yeah.
that's also good. Those blanket statements just kill are starting to kill me on a lot of things, and I don't want to be one to lead into that. But with that said, like we're doing a good job at that with the new kind of sector angles we're taking in general, but that's not for this discussion. Um, Market always go higher, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, the market can always go higher. I mean, I could literally just run the tape back from the stuff I was saying in August, September to January, yada yada yada. Not the big guys, not the number one, the seven pillars, whatever you want to call them. It's going to be the secondary plays. Then there's going to be some sectors that separate winners from losers. That right there, though, I think is still active. I think we still have a lot of separating winners from losers left. The problem is when everything is oversold, they're all going to get the initial starting gate bump. You really got to know the fundamentals, the plan, the partnerships, the money, how shady their leadership is, stuff like that. Just stuff like that. Just some basic stuff. How much the institutions have it,
Yeah, yeah.
or you just go basic like we do, right? I mean, our system's not hidden. We just use volume profile and the flow. We just follow big money and historical levels. So whatever your system is, you just gotta find a way to separate the winners from the losers in that environment.
Yes, and I think part of the disbelief people have is, I mean, you've got Apple and Microsoft up so high, and so even as those level out or pull back 1 or 2%, and you see SPY is still green, QQQ is still green. I mean, you do have to realize that there's more. there's more stocks than those in them. They're important. They're a big foundation, but what we talked about with market breadth is that it has to resolve, but the smaller stuff moving up is part of how that happens. And some of these stocks that are a bigger percentage now, like AVGO, they have a lot more to say about what QQQ is going to do. And when that thing's up 4, 5, 9% or whatever, it's gonna it's gonna level out the market. And again, that is a factor that contributes to why the sustained selling and the big breakdown has been so hard to time for people. And I mean, it's going to happen. The market's going to pull back, but I think it has to prove itself. Sellers got to prove themselves just like the buyers do. And I personally am not going in heavy short on anything until I see that happen. I don't think you can really time a top on a monthly time frame in the indices right now. I just don't see it.
Yeah. When you say like QQQ going up and or yeah, and the tech's kind of the bigger tech kind of sideways. Um, the market's not like one for one, right? It's the gear ratio's never one for one, and
Yeah.
sometimes it goes in a different direction. So the best unk analogy I can give everybody, I don't know, I'm a country boy at heart. I grew up by the river, and when you throw a stick in the river, I don't know, our rivers are a little more turbulent than your river. I got to remember you're from the Midwest. When you throw a stick in the river,
Right. Right.
sometimes that shit curl around and come back upstream, right? It like or it whips around in a circle in one spot,
Yeah.
right? Or it just slams down the river. It's just going, right? Because the current's pulling in a different direction. You have to trust the damn stick. If the stick is telling you, "Hey, this is going up," you got to stay with the going up until that stick tells you something different. Um, at this point in time, when we do find a top, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I'm going to go with the flow on that one. I mean, that's what I always say when we get to all time high charts. For me, it's not going to be enough when it pulls back for these people. It's just not. It wasn't 411 wasn't enough. They wanted 370. So wherever we pull back to at this point, um, let me pull the number up so when I say it, there's a reason I say it. I'm not just pulling it out my ass. It's 440 something though. 443. When we pull back to 443, that ain't gonna be enough. It just ain't gonna be enough for them. So like having that thesis in your head, just trust the damn stick instead of your bias. And it's more about the trend than the top. Like play the trend. When you see the trend change, play the other way. But you're gonna in between that, you're gonna get some consolidation. It's not just gonna be the next candle, in my opinion. It's just not. So, man,
Yeah, and
strike while the iron's
I think
hot.
for 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 most people, I mean, especially the option side, I think that there are benefits to just saying I'm just going to play the upside. And I mean, and there are people who only short the market, who only buy puts, and that can work too. I think that's much harder because you can't. It's shorting shares is a mess. I don't even. I would never at all. I'm not even going to learn about it. Really. I mean, I know about it. What I mean is like I'm not going to the mechanics and doing it and like I just don't ever want to do it. So if you just go into it and say I'm only going to play the upside, I think that can help people a lot because you are watching pullbacks. You want to see the pullback and you wait, and there's a level there. I have plenty of pivots that I post all the time that are pretty good, pretty reliable. They're not going to win every time, but they're also probably not going to get you killed because the stock usually kind of slows down at least around that pivot. And then it gets you in a mindset where you just rotate to different sectors. Any progress I made, I think, happened because the market was in really difficult conditions and I buckled down and I found upside somewhere. And that was always my mentality. And that's why I got into oil. That's why I studied copper and basic materials and all that. And if you have that approach into next year, when airlines, when banks, when staples, when those start to really, you know, change the trend and get some momentum, to the upside, you'll be ready to trade those, and it's more productive to me than looking like, Apple's too expensive. I'm going to short this, and if that's just your mentality, it's hard. It's hard to find levels at the top when something's at all time high. So that would kind of be my general thing I would say for people to think about going into the new year. Uh, just my take on it.
I used to say cuss words at you when you throw all time high charts at me. I mean, I find value in them now, a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't. But I still really don't trade them. I mean, I'm trying to think of one I do. To be honest with you, if I did, it was like two. There was enough range to the all-time high, but I really can't think of many I do. Um, I go. I mean, it's just my
yeah,
angle,
yeah,
and what works best for me is I just try to find something on sale again. I mean, I'm like a trader, right? Like if I was trading cars, right? Like old school Corvettes or Chevys. I'm a Chevy car trader, right? I'm not going and buying a car at that
yeah,
flipping auction in Arizona for 200K and trying to sell it to somebody else. Like that's not gonna work. I gotta find Grandpa in the barn with something he don't know he doesn't have, and then take that out. You know, shine it up a little bit, hold on to it for
yeah.
a while, and take it to the show. Like so, like just in that mentality, like the extremes, just having an extreme position, I've never gotten. Um, in general. I just have never gotten like
Well, and I
being
think on the
overly extreme, and especially on the whole market. Like, it just makes no sense.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the an advantage that we're going to have going forward, this second look at these IPOs
Hey,
that
don't hey.
completely.
You dropped that out there. Damn it. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, I'll say it this way. There are stocks out there where you sure as hell don't have to worry about all time highs maybe ever happening, because because of what they did when they first came out, and but enough time has gone by where the charts have effectively reset, and as they move up, there are actually buyers, or there's, I guess, positions out there, however you say it, the volume profile, like all that stuff is there, and relevant again, and that is probably going to be my main focus into next year, are a lot of those names, and then some, the all-time high tech, or all-time high anything. Those are, option day trades as I see them, but the stuff where you're really going to build a position, the 80-20 share option thing. There's just so many names out there,
Yeah.
uh, that I think are going to be great into next year.
That's more of my angle, and that secondary one that you weren't supposed to say out loud, you tattletale. Um, is just the names that are gonna be. It's names in general. You kind of said it that way. It's just names in general that are gonna be around that are
Yeah,
way undervalued at this point. It's those, and it's again
yeah,
what I said in September about the B. It's the Bs, maybe even the Cs, but it's definitely the B rated stocks. You know, the 5 out of the 6 on the street, um, type plays that are going to be good. And then there's
yeah,
a couple sectors I really do like. The problem is, man, these moves are happening so fast. Like they're quick. Like I didn't think stuff I bought in November would be where it's at. And in my rule book, I have to take some profit. I'm not adding, right? So that's a conundrum I'm in. Trying to make the first of the year, to be honest, to tell you the truth.
yeah,
Um, but I mean that's a I don't know, right? Like this next week, yeah, let's get a little bit like localized looking. Um, fuck, we gotta have some
yeah,
consolidation. You would think in something. I mean, we can't continue uh, $10 move in the indices, 30 or 40% moves in some equities for the next 2 weeks.
yeah.
I don't think we can. I don't know what you're seeing. Um, but yeah, I just
No, yeah, I think, yeah, I think things will kind of calm down, and on a real local level, I think with the OPEX maybe not being as crazy as people thought. I think that is a little bit of foreshadowing of what's going to happen, and it was in a lot of ways kind of a typical Friday. You kind of get a lot of stuff makes a big move. It
Mm-hmm.
was upside first.
Mm-hmm.
It pulls back and then it closes at a kind of equilibrium, maybe up a little, and that was what that was what a lot of stocks did, and like AVGO included, huge move up, pull back, closed up, had a great day. But I think as an options trader, you got to be especially aware of that kind of intraday pattern, whether it's like algos or human behavior, or whatever. It really kind of just illustrates the dangers of chasing, because a lot of this stuff that has been running and is really healthy gets pullbacks and consolidations, and consolidation just kills you in options. So I would just encourage people to be really really mindful of um, of that, and don't let FOMO get you, because it certainly can.
Yeah, just a kind of little review. You had 471.33 end of the year on SPY. I had 467.69. So for our numbers to hit, well, we're in between them right now, I guess. But we're right here.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess for our numbers to hit, it's gonna have to consolidate. It can't make a dramatic move in either direction from here. It'll be funny if it ends right
Right.
here. To be honest with you, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I thought last week and that's kind of why I was a little light, was that would be the week for volume to go out, and it really didn't. I assume JP people were hanging out for him, um, but what's
Yeah.
your? I just don't have the news event this week. I mean, there's some housing stuff going on, a little bit of jobs, um, but anything is going to be
I
closer to
don't.
the end of the week too. So I mean, and it's
I don't think so. I mean, I don't see some big positive catalyst. There aren't any major earnings or anything going on. Um, and then anything to the downside, Mark has kind of been shrugging it off. SPY like is really hard to read in options at this particular moment, just because so much expired on the 15th, and got to kind of see what comes in. I do have one. There's one contract out there that's sort of given me a new number that we'll talk about. But yeah, I mean, it looks a little quiet. So what happens usually and then is some sector emerges and pops off pretty large, and a lot of stuff stays quiet. So that's kind of what I expect.
yeah, that's where that one comes in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got thesis there. Um, what else? What else do I want to? Oh yeah. Man, I be pissing people off on Twitter. It's not my fault though. Anytime someone says why is Chipotle $2,000, I just instantly have a fit. Like that's on me. It's just simple, share structure, and like even if you get into the well the book value and all the it's a rare card. There's only so many shares, and it's a 10 for 10 name. Maybe 9 to 10. I think Chipotle is a 10 for 10 name. I mean, you got to be a dumbass if you
Yeah.
don't know there's a Chipotle. And they buy back.
Right.
And they buy back. So, like, it's got that.
Yeah, they don't dilute at all. So
No,
yeah.
it's the opposite. So, it's like the rare card. So, I pissed people off on that this week.
Yeah.
And, and
Um,
the old option traders.
Same thing happens.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, well, same thing happens with MSTR and MDB. To some extent, the float's pretty small, and people just don't understand that, and they don't get how that keeps how that makes the stock more expensive. They don't understand how it affects options, um, any of that, and they see the volume on options, and they're like, this is meaningless because it's small, but it's all relative. It doesn't need Apple's volume to be relevant, and that's the biggest reason flow readers struggle, is they look at it all the same, and they just it's like one number, and they just they see, oh, this is a big number of volume, so this is relevant flow, and it's It's just not how it works. You got to do a little more homework than that to be a good reader of option flow.
Yeah, no, this person's actually outside of AMC pretty legit. Most part, kind of goes after paid rooms a lot, and I always get a free pass, so that should tell you something. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of that, did you see that post I posted from Twitter in my room about math? I don't like to say, you know me, I don't like to say names. Um,
No, no, I gotta
so
check that out.
so options trade. Oh, it's great because it was like I think it's the one that you realized Twitter was not what they say. Like before, I think you were like 60-40. These guys bring some value, and then when you figured out this guy's stuff, you were like, no, they're all little douchebags. um, but he posted something like it was like here's my Q3 Q4 like profit statement, right? It was like 70K in the account, but with 12,000 unrealized gains, right?
Yeah,
You're a
yeah,
options day trader. How do you got 12K unrealized gains, and how you only make 20% over the last like 6 months if you trade in options? I mean, I seen your 1,000% calls every day. How you only up 12K, bud?
yeah, yeah.
And it's
Right.
unreal,
Well,
and it's
that's
unrealized, and it's
yeah,
unrealized too. Wait a minute, like there's something smells real bad there. Um, to not go all in on that
uh,
guy, he does make money. I I mean, I did the quick sub math for him, and
yeah.
it was more than that 12K. Um, because he said this is how many subs I have and what I charge. So I ran the numbers for him on that. But man,
Yeah.
smoking mirrors.
I mean, it's for a lot of them, it is about it's about the subscribers and creating the narrative of these calls are hot, like and just pumping up the winners, kind of putting the losers on the back burner, finding ways to trade both sides and have the big win, post that big loss, who cares, forget about it. So yeah, there's a lot of that, and so a lot of these guys who I thought were kind of promising when I was getting into this and seeing how they were reading flow and all that, I think in effect some of them, it's like the athlete who goes pro too early,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like they're just way over their head because they didn't take the time to build the skills and maturity and mindset and and all that. And they'll start partnering with the wrong people and everything, just kind of lose their way, and that's when the switch to SPY happens, and
Yep, yep.
all the other stuff we talk about. Like some of these guys, they start pivoting to news and politics and stuff because of the Twitter engagement. They end up on that path, and they're so far away from the core skills of trading at that point that they're kind of just lost.
Oh, social media focused. You're kind of pointing, hitting all the
Yeah, yeah,
head points
exactly.
on that.
Yeah,
It's social media focused, not trading focused. Um,
yeah,
yeah, no, that one was a good combo. If you, I know, you'll have to catch up on that thread, but it was
yeah,
just they I don't know why. I don't know why. I know why. I think I finally figured it out. It took some years, but I figured it out. I think they all want to tell a story around the holidays, right? They all just want to have a holiday story to tell,
yeah.
and they always tell them themselves during that holiday story. it just,
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, for me, when I seen that, the first thing I thought is like, shit, you probably made 30 and lost 18 of it, or you probably made 40 and lost 28 of it. That's just what you got left, right? Because you have piss poor management and you're over
Yeah,
trading. That's what
yep.
I thought. That's really what I thought. There's no way in hell you grind it up to 12K. No way.
Uh, yeah, right. And I think one of the big red flags is the afternoon options trades, usually zero DTE of contracts that are like $30. And I'm not saying like, oh, this guy only has $30, but he might only have like, a few $100 left to trade with. Like he's burned through all his whole port on trades, not even on losers or whatever it was.
Do you,
But they're still trading with their last bit of cleared active funds. A
especially with
lot of those guys do that.
especially with this one P as an example, Are you telling me this is my problem with what you're saying? Are you telling me that
Yeah.
person's going to have 50 racks in their account and they're going to have discipline enough to only trade a couple $100 a day?
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm. I mean, that's in
You,
effect what I'm saying. Like they not at all. It's chaotic. I mean, I think that some of them like
well,
they
that would
enter
be the only way he could
the
grind up like $100, $200 at a time over 6 months to 12K. It would be to only be
yeah
trading like $400 or $500 a
yeah
day in options, right? And if not, it's big losses,
right
big wins. Like he had to have made 40K to get 12K out of it.
yeah
And that, I mean, when you're 60-40 on
right
trades,
right.
I just don't see him ever being disciplined enough to only have like trade with the 5 grand or trade with 2 grand. There's just no way. I mean, we have it's probably.
No, there's not.
I'm
And
giving a lot of credit that that's the real number. That's like someone else's screen cap, right? But
yeah.
if it was,
Right.
I'm just assuming there's just no way. There's no way.
No, there isn't. And I honestly think in value and I actually have pretty much the same
Sizing.
approach to options accounts where it's like, yeah, where it's like I'm not gonna I'm gonna make money off of this core account and the risky stuff because it's just too risky to size up and I'm not comfortable with it. And it changes it changes your psychology. And if I'm pulling in 500 a day, 300, $700 a day, sometimes a $1,200 day,
Whatever.
then like that's good. That's fine. I mean, that's why do I need to go bigger than that? Like you can't. I don't think you can sustain that, and I don't think any of them can. So yeah, that's where a lot of these guys get into trouble. Is they'll have some wins and they'll start thinking, "Hey, I'm real good at this," but they don't have the skills to actually adapt to whatever the market's doing.
Yeah. For me, it's just how the 60-40 really stood out. Like there's just no way. If not, you would have to be super disciplined, and I don't think that's possible. 60-40 sounds more like probably what's going on. And the thing about sixty
Yeah.
forty that I don't like, y'all can say that's good. And to be honest with you, probably one of the better ones out there. Let's give a little credit there. I mean, if we're having a scale off of average of what's available, yeah, it's probably one of the better ones. Um, double what we are though, in general. Um, but for me, like, where was I going with that? If you're gonna, I lost my thought. I lost it. I'm old. Sorry, Pete. Um,
No, it's all good.
but yeah, for us, it's more repeating that process. Oh yeah, no. If you're gonna 60-40, right? If like I'm going 60-40 and I'm passing that information along to people, or if professor's going 60-40 and he's passing that along, whoever he's passing that to isn't going to have a better or the same batting average. They're just going to be a little worse. Like it's almost unavoidable, right? Like it funnels down. So his people are probably going 50-50, 40-60. Um, and that's something I've always been mindful of is trying to get 8 out of 10 so the people do get 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 and that follow us.
Well, and that's what the hot list is all about. And
yes.
we do have some option only looks on the hot list, but I don't think we'll ever see a week where half the stocks on there are like that. Because that's not the criteria that stand out. Like it's got to be, A plus. And I mean, and really, in effect, I mean, I looked at AVGO as an option only thing. It wasn't though. I mean,
almost bought a share. I almost
you're
bought
okay.
one.
You bought if you bought if you buy a share or half a share.
Did. If you got
you're doing pretty good.
You can buy 10. You can buy 10. You can buy 10. I thought about it. I really thought about it. I did. I thought about that one and I was like, no, you know what? I mean, if it was next month, I might have done it. If it's January, I might have done it. But I was like, I don't need to be messing around. But I will.
Well, I mean, the okay, like Adobe's a good example, right?
Yes, it is.
And not to get too much into individual names, but there, we're at a point now where it's like, okay, Adobe $500. Um, that was a big level to break and sustain. It did, went way past that, pulled back now, and we're at a point where you can think about shares in Adobe, and just have a plan for where you think it might, it might pull back to, but you can get in that and do just fine. And fact of the matter is, these big stocks, we read those pretty damn well. So I think that that's kind of part of it too.
My levels
Major
are
companies,
my levels are better on the bigger stuff. I just the moves are to get a
yeah, like
substantial
yeah,
move for share side. That's hard, but you take care of that, or the work together kind of
yeah,
takes care of
yeah,
that. No, I am. I was going to save it for next session, but I put it in here. I'm already writing a plan, going over my process for 10 shares now on these bigger names, because I used to just stop at 100, right? Like the $100 mark was kind of it for me. Um, but we find way too many $200 to $600 stocks that are great, and all I got to do is knock a zero off my position and make it work. So um, I
yeah,
don't know. I probably
yeah.
get filled a little easier too, to be honest, on 10 shares than 1,000. You want to do a spy? We're about the 30 mark here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Um,
All
yeah,
right. So
go for it. Go for it.
how do we do?
Oh, I didn't think about that. Probably
All
not
right.
great.
So
I got 62,
yeah,
63 the top, 54, 55 the bottom. Um, yeah, no, it was way up. It checked out on us, P. We didn't have that. We didn't have all that.
yeah. It was the J Pow reaction.
Yeah, we didn't have
Um,
donor candles.
I did not expect it to go that far. No,
Oh,
no.
oh.
um, all right. So here's the contract that is the most relevant to me. Um, SPY 475C, expiration December 29th. That is your
End of the year.
I don't know, your push pin end of the year, most relevant contract. And they're going to buy and sell it. So, it's going to kind of like, I'll be sort of tracking that as they move in and out. But the change here is that it's not it's not the sold puts or puts in general dominating the narrative right now. It's that particular call, and then I got to see what else comes in. But a lot of stuff expired worthless on Friday, so we got to see like where they go, where they reset from here.
Do you usually get a flood in that when that happens? Like, do they really reposition right away, or is it more of a trickle in, or is that something
Yeah,
you
by
look
by
for in general?
Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, I think by Wednesday, and it's going to be. I mean, in a lot of names, and I expect this to happen with Spy too. It's January and March, and so like seeing what narrative I can see emerge for January and March is going to be, I think, what helps me in the same way that October, December, like that read helped us a lot, or helped me a lot, and
Yeah.
I think our work. And so like seeing like that story is not started yet to where I could read it, but that's going to happen over the next couple weeks.
And there's no downside action, just sporadic stuff. Nothing
No,
like nothing
I
like.
mean not really. No, so you have
Because we had like a collar last time, then we had like two levels, and we had like 420 and then 370 last time. There was
yeah,
like
yeah, that
a small spot and a big spot down. That's interesting that there's no downside now.
no, it's so the most active
50,
active put
50.
is um well, yeah, I mean for next week it's just 470p, so like in the money,
Oh, okay. Wow.
like their position
Wow.
there for Wednesday.
Wow.
And it is, it's not heavily sold, like it's ask side, but I mean the point is they're not sticking their neck out for downside. They want to be in the money, and
Okay.
and they'll probably cash that out profitably. But yeah,
Those stupid politicians are already taking credit for these all-time highs, and we just barely tickled it. It ain't gonna go over good with people when they look at their portfolio and it's flat over 4 years. Just saying. So for numbers for me, uh, I'm really at this 443, but I mean that's not happening this week.
I lost you for a second.
Okay. Numbers for me, the 443,
Yeah.
kind of my downside spot, but that's not this week. That's when we do pull back, and then
Yeah.
450 psych, which still seems kind of far from here. So you almost got to go intraday to see if there's anything. Yeah, and I'm just gonna take this right here, 463 for me on the downside. I just literally pulled this RTL two days in a row, and then this one's right there too. Um, Upside's a good guess though, Pete. You said 475. I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna go 473. Oh, wait, I gotta get some change. I'm gonna go 463.63 and 473.73. It's $10 range though,
Yeah.
so it's still pretty good range.
Yeah.
My thing is, do we bleed out the first part of the week and check back, or what are we doing here? This chart doesn't look like there's much pullback besides to about my number. So yeah, right in here. Oops.
5. I think the way I would say it is I would look for that to be within striking distance when we're talking next week.
Okay.
That's what they're going to want to see happen. So I think whatever we have, I would expect maybe downside if there is any early in the week, and then we move back up, maybe close slightly green on the week. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So I've got 463.98 and
Close. That's a good spot, P, for your local.
oh, good, yeah, and it's based on my average true range calculation I do sometimes. And then upside for me, I want to say 474.05.
So we're literally 30 cents off both ways.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And that's just how the math worked on me. Mine.
I like it. Yeah. That the four. That's a good one for everybody. The 463 and change area is going to probably play like this 455 did. I mean, it's what you're looking for if we are going to continue to make a higher level. That for me, that's where we're going to catch, and best place to play calls off of, in my opinion. Yeah, good stuff. Do you see volume slowing down on your end? Just curious how that looks for you. Like, is it less? I don't know. Does your scan just like overpopulate sometimes, and you're like, oh shit, and then sometimes you're like, oh, there's like 10 of these.
No, it does. But the so the like the biggest volume on SPY is always the 0 DTE intraday stuff, and then for what would constitute like a big order on a day for the longer term stuff, it's like 6-figure volume, and yeah, I would say like overall that was down a bit, but it really was because of OPEX, like, and all that stuff expiring. So I'll be able to answer your question on volume, I think, by Wednesday, kind of see where we're at there. But
interesting. Love it. All right, you ready to get to work?
Real quick note on oil. Okay, so I would just say kind of my thesis still holding together that 68 didn't break down. So it's like, it's whatever. I mean, it's a bit oversold. Trend has been down, but there's nothing catastrophic about oil to me unless 68 breaks down, and I don't expect that to happen. So yeah, look for some stability out of the oil plays.
Decent. Some of those charts are in great shape too. Awesome. All right, let's get to work.
Yeah.